England have been absolutely humbled, haven't they? I mean, there are precious few crumbs of comfort to take away from that performance at the Gabba.
None whatsoever. When you lose, I mean, it's bad enough losing, but I mean, listening to some of the commentators at the end there, Ebony, Rinford Brent, Matt Pryor, Stephen Finn, Cookie, they're all going, this is like England firing England up. Firing. That's made me worse. I mean, that's made me, where was that on day 2? Joffre ball on 150, 148 to 150. Where was that at the end of day 2? And when we needed to knock the tail over, when you started at 1-4, when you started at 129, you got banged straight ball, the ball straight back past you. And then average speed about 136 after that. The game's finished. Steve Smith, brilliant. When he got in Joffre's face, no good ball and fast now when the game's done.
That was quite something, wasn't it, as a statement by Steve Smith?
As
the opposition captain.
That sums my mood up watching that, because
I didn't like that. I mean,
no,
look, don't get me wrong. I appreciate with Joffre, he doesn't feel as a bowler he needs to bowl at 155 miles. That'd be something. 155 kilometres an hour every single spell, and also, he didn't get to rest enough because England didn't bat long enough. Okay, and bowling at the Gabba is ridiculous, and also, sorry,
jobs to bowl fast.
He bowled fast today. Yeah, he did. Yeah, but he wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one whose speeds were down in that innings. There's going to be some scapegoats out of this. Ollie Pope and Jofra Archer, the two that immediately come to mind, and I don't think either is particularly fair.
No, I don't think it's.
I appreciated the battle between Archer and Smith on an individual basis. Steve Smith has made a point over the last 6 years, pretty much. Well, no, not 6 years, because Archer was out of the game for a long time. Smith didn't really talk about it then, in fairness to him. Jofra Archer has never got Steve Smith out, right? Jofra Archer wanted to get Steve Smith out. The two were going at each other, head to head. It was great. But that's their own personal duel, right? I wasn't taking any excitement from that. It was way too late in the day for that. And this is a point you're making as well, right? It was day 1 or 2. There was a misfield behind the stumps. Jamie Smith misfielded it and he relied on Joe Root sweeping up behind him to make sure there wasn't any overthrows. I think it was on day 1. And no, it must have been day 2. And the England players were all laughing. And I messaged you and I thought that was a really poor look. You wouldn't get Steve Smith laughing if Alex Carey had fumbled it behind the stumps, And so from that to this, when suddenly all the players are up and at it, when Australia need 15 to win, no. I'm in with the individual, the personal duel. If Archer bounces out Smith or knocks him over or whatever, and he's out, great. Get in his face, great. But to extrapolate from that there's, this is what we want to see. No, not having that at all.
This is what we want to see. I'm sorry. You got 25. You got 23 off 9 balls. Yeah, you got 23 off 9 balls. Yeah. About 150 kilometers an hour. And I'm not picking on Joffrey because it's a collective unit. The fighting qualities of Will and Ben. Will Jackson, Ben, was unbelievable.
Was it unbelievable?
Yeah, I thought it was fighting the cause. Yeah,
mate, this is what Scott Boland. Scott Boland did it yesterday.
Yeah,
he has got a batting average of 7.
The way they went about it.
He managed it.
The way they went about it.
I disagree. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I know you. The problem England have got now is they're damned whatever they do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I get that. But the way England batted this morning, I'm sorry, that was a time for BAZBALL.
Yeah.
The ball was doing nothing, or very little. And then, of course, so they just got it round the wrong way again. That's how they should have batted yesterday. But 2 wrongs don't make a right. It's all well and good us sitting here going, they're batted out of the session. They scored 59 runs in 24 overs. It was a really noticeable moment. I don't know if you saw it, Harmy, but Doggett came on to bowl short to Will Jacks and he took on the hook twice and missed twice. And there was one ball left of the over and Stokes came down the track and maybe he didn't. Maybe he said, just keep going for it, mate. But Jacks withdrew from the pull or the hook the very next ball. And I thought, that's really telling. That, you know, that is how they're going about things. I get it. I do get it. And at the end of the day, they got through the session without losing a wicket. And even if they had gone pure on BAZBALL and everything had worked and they score 150, you know, they still would have lost the game, probably. But England, from beginning to end, just seemed, to my eyes, to have just got things round the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree. They got the round the wrong way. The BAZBALL this morning bit. The thing when you're in that situation, you're right. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
I do get it. I am being.
Yeah,
that's not why they've lost the game, right? I am being harsh.
Yeah, I look at that situation. You've got Will Jacks, who's played 3 Test matches. The last one was like 3 odd years ago. He's batting at number 8, and I think from Stokes' point of view, you know, whether you want to talk about Headingley or you want to talk about the sort of the great saviour Ben Stokes has been, I think Ben Stokes is probably just saying to Will Jacks, just hang in there with me. Let's take this as deep as we possibly can. And let's get us to a point where...
That's fine. They should have done that yesterday. That was a tactic for day 3, not day 4.
But this is the point I'm trying to make. What we've got, unfortunately, with BAZBALL, we have had a very insular group, a group of, whether you want to call them arrogant or not, or egotistical, or whatever. When it comes to selection, we've gone, right, we've got the same 7 top order batters who have made the same mistakes, who have constantly... Yeah. So from that point of view, I'm looking at somebody like Will Jacks, who came in from the outside and played smartly with his head, and he played the situation. The problem we've all got with BAZBALL is they keep making the same mistakes. So we've got a guy that's came in from the outside who's just played, he's tried to play his own natural game, played the risk situation the way he saw it and he thought it was. And all of a sudden, he's got himself to 40. Yes, we want a more than that, but he got himself to 40 playing a way which, you're right, we wanted them to play yesterday or the day before. The problem we've got yesterday and the day before, we've got, when it came to yesterday and the day before, we've got a top 7 brainwashed by Brendan McCullum in such a way which will never, ever work consistently because these players never learn from their mistakes. What I am encouraged with that little partnership with Stokes and Jacks is a guy that came in from the outside who probably isn't as brainwashed with what this top 7 is and running down the wicket and trying to belt everything through extra cover or driving the ball on the up. We've seen a lad here who took risks because he's an aggressive player but he's at number 8. He defended quite well from his off stump. He played the short ball nicely. He rotated a strike with his partner, who was an experienced player. That, for me, when somebody says you want to bring in somebody from the outside, you know, we need to change Crawley, we need to change Pope, we're not trying to change the player, we're trying to change the mindset, because the mindset of this team in the top 7, apart from Joe Root, just doesn't seem to be working for Test match cricket. It doesn't and I'm talking about Test match cricket. I'm not talking about New Zealand, Pakistan. I'm talking about India, and I'm talking about Australia. These are the best 2 teams in the world. I know South Africa won the World Test Championship.
Okay.
But when you're playing against the best, you have to adapt to the fact that respect the bowler and the conditions you're playing in. And unfortunately, we didn't. And I thought Will Jacks did that, and that's why I was encouraged.
Yep, no fair. Croom 11. No, 1-1-1. Bit picky to have a go at Jacks for his batting. I did say, you know, at the end of the day, the mistakes were made on days 1, 2, and 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jacks did what Jacks had to do. He was told how to play by his skipper, it seemed, and he batted well, did exactly the job that was asked of him. Let's hear though from Ben Stokes. He's been speaking to Isha Guha. Thanks to TNT Sports for this.
Ben, another tough loss for yourself. Can you just sum up where it went wrong for you?
Yeah, obviously very disappointing. I think, you know, a lot of it to me comes down to, you know, not being able to stand up to the pressure of this game, this format. when the game is on the line. You know, in small passages, we've been able to bring the game back into some kind of control, and then we've let it slip away. And we've done that again here this week, and it's very, very disappointing, in particular because of the ability of the players that we have in that dressing room. And yeah, I think we need to, you know, think a bit harder and a little bit deeper about those moments and what we're taking mentally into those. And yeah, you know, overall just show a little bit more fight when it's needed.
Can you put a finger on why it's happening? Why those disciplines haven't quite been there with the ball, the bat, and in the field?
I mean, if I could put my finger on it, I would have been, you know, I'll be able to tell you. But as I said, it's definitely not a skill thing, because there's some incredibly gifted players in that dressing room, and when you know it's not down to skill, you know, you probably got to dig a little bit deeper and find out what the thing is that we sort of seem to keep doing in those big moments of the game.
It feels like when your back's against the wall, you're able to kind of come back, but when you're on top, for example, that first innings with the bat, came in with the ball, not necessarily getting in the right areas, it's the pressure of expectation? Yeah,
look, I think, you know, there's not being able to execute skill is something that you can live with, because no one means to, you know, bowl away from the plan that we're trying to do. We knew exactly how we needed to bowl on that wicket, and we weren't able to do it for a long enough period to put the Australian batsmen, you know, under pressure. And you know, that was evident in the way that Australia were able to score so quickly and so easily against us. I think, you know, Jofra and Gus, I think, set the tone very nicely actually when we first took the ball, but then myself and Bryden sort of, you know, let the game get away from us quite quickly. So yeah, just not being able to execute what's needed, not only with bat and hand, but also with ball. And yeah, so yeah, we're having some conversations that I'll be keeping into the dressing room. So yeah.
How much communication goes on when you're in the middle there, and when that situation changes throughout the day?
Yeah, lots of communication. You know, we sit there and watch what's going out in front of us. We can see what you know, Australia are looking to throw at us and what plans they're trying to bowl to, and then it's up to us as you know, as players to be able to go out there with a plan and how to negate the threat. So yeah, look, again, for me it just seems to be a constant theme at the moment that when, you know, the game is in a pressure moment, Australia keep outdoing us in those moments. And you know, they say Australia isn't a place for weak men, and we're definitely not weak, but we need to find something, because we're 2-0 down now. We've got 3 more games to go, and yeah, we need to sort it.
Do you believe you can turn this around?
I absolutely believe in that dressing room. I have full belief in the players that are in there, the coaching staff, and the people who are there to help make us better players. And you know, what else have we got to do? You know, we know we've got to win these next 3 games. You know, we had been 2-0 down before, so we know what we need to do, and you know, we ain't going to shy away from the battle that we've got in front of us. But yeah, we do need to look at where things have gone wrong in these first 2 games and sort them out pretty quick if we want to get these Ashes back to England.
Wow. Ben Stokes there speaking to Isha Guha. Thanks to TNT Sports for that. I've enjoyed a lot of their commentary, actually. I thought Matt Pryor's been great, as we've been mentioning, Cookie and Stephen Finn as well, and Ebony. Wow, that's something. That's something. Harmy, who's he talking to? I mean, he's just bagged Bryden Carse.
Well, I don't think he was.
Who were the other players?
Yeah, I think he's talking to his dressing room there.
Oh, he wasn't talking to his dressing room when he reached 50.
No, and I don't think he's just talking to his other 10 players he's been on the field with. I think he's talking to the whole unit. I think he's talking to all 16 players there, that this has got to be, we have to be better. We have to be mentally, and we have to be physically, because I still think that physically they're a long way off. But technically is the biggest thing for me. Technical is the biggest thing for me, because I think these guys, they've done it mentally. You know, they should be fit enough, and they're getting fitter as the tour goes on, because they're spending a lot of time in the field. But technically, if they're not listening to their captain for what he's just said there, you know, big moments, pressurized situations, we're letting ourselves down. I think not letting ourselves down physically or mentally, we're letting ourselves down technically. And I think that's our problem. Not being able to technically hit an area, you know, 2, 3, 4 balls in a row. Technically, we are driving the ball on the up, straight, trying to hit it through extra cover when the ball's bouncing. That's not mental. That's technical. I think he's having a go. I think he's having a go at everybody. So
I'll tell you who I think he's having a go
very
at.
good.
Shall I tell you? I think he's having a go at Ollie Pope. I think he's having a go at Harry Brook. I think he's having a go at Jamie Smith. And I think he's having a go at Bryden Cass. And maybe he's having a go at Jofra. Probably.
I think he's having a go at Jofra Archer.
So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe Crawley. Certainly 5 players, because if you look at the game, England were 5 for 2 when Ollie Pope was out. You know, that was a good ball that Ben Duckett got. Yeah,
it was.
5 for 2, right? And you're forcing it one outside off stump against Mitchell Starc with a new ball, right? Pressure situation, and you're not delivering. Then Harry Brook with his shot against Mitchell Starc, pressure situation, game on the line, not delivering. Jamie Smith, you know, he's never played a pink ball game, but essentially he's dropped 2 catches and he's not scored any runs. And I think England have got a big problem there. I actually think maybe you drop Smith and you give Pope the gloves, but that's a conversation we can have. Who else? Yeah, I mean, obviously Bryden Cass. I mean, you kind of defended him, didn't you, after day 2? Bryden Cass just bowling too short, too forward, not to the field. And then Jofra with his speeds not up when England needed it to be. That's a lot of players to be bagging, though, Harmy. Yeah. That's a lot.
And I think if you
also, he could blame himself for that run out. Because that was a massive moment.
Yeah. Well, he can have a look at himself.
And he will.
I think he'd be the first person to look at himself in the mirror and say, am I part of this issue? Am my decision making? You know, did I change the bowling right when Bryden Cass came on, as well as me as
was the team selection right? Because that's a Stokes team.
Yeah, all that'll come in. You know, the decision, will he, you know, bringing Bryden on at the same time as Ben, both expensive bowlers, both bowlers who bowl wicket-taking balls. Who could he have? All these things that will go through a captain's head. I captained a little bit, but not much. But when you look at it, you think, could you have gotten Archer or Atkinson off a couple of overs earlier, put Cass on or put himself on, and then followed Cass with himself, as opposed to the same type of bowler at one end with the same type of bowler at the other end, and try and, you know, not go at 7, 8 and over, which they were going. I defended Brian's character, and I defended Bryden's attitude.
I don't think you can fault. Yeah, I don't think you can fault Bryden Cass's attitude or the way he runs in.
Yeah, because I've been there millions of times, John, when I'm thinking I can, and in the end I'm just going, right, I'm going to bowl this faster. And a lot of times it goes a hell of a lot worse. You can't hit 2 balls in the same area. You then go to plan B and plan C. But the one thing you have to do, Michael Vaughan always taught me when he's standing at mid-off, and he was like, Nasser Hussain did the same. I don't give it. I mean, I was going to swear there. I'm not bothered where it goes, as long as it goes fast. As long as it goes fast, because your job is to bowl fast. If you're bowling at 83 mile an hour and it's going everywhere, you're going to spend 70 overs at fine leg talking to the crowd. The thing that frustrated me a bit with Jofra, when England needed him to stand up, yes, he's had 14, 15 overs already under his belt. And I keep bringing this point up, and it comes back to preparation as well. If you're not quite ready and you're not quite right and you haven't got the miles in your legs, the overs 80 to 90 at the end of the day, you can't be bowling 129 to 138 in between them spells, especially when you can rock up when you need 30 to win, 9 wickets in hand and bowl at 150 kilometres an hour. The why I defended Cass is his speeds were at his highest speeds of what Bryden Cass can bowl. And that's why you can take him going everywhere and going at 6 and over when he's bowling fast. What I can't take is bowling.
I do get it.
10 mile an hour slower and just looking after yourself, Jack.
I'm not quite. I must admit, I respect everything you have to say about fast bowling and, to be honest, all cricket. Maybe I'm just sympathetic to Jofra. Maybe I just want him to do well. Maybe I'm the same. Maybe it's that. But
that's why I've got high regard. Too high standards.
Yeah, but Harmy, at the end of day 1, Mitchell Starc's bolt of speeds were down. All the Australian speeds were down.
Yeah,
Okay,
but John,
and remember when we spoke about it. What did you say? You said that they were tired. It was late in the day, right? Today, Jofra's speeds was up. He'd had a proper break. He'd actually had a proper break because although they didn't score many, they batted for 75 overs rather than, whatever. What did they bat in first innings, actually? Anyway, we can...
yeah, but
Yeah, go on. Oh, can I just say one... Yeah, I know. And Mitchell Stark's...
77, it's 140 balls. In the last over, he bowled at 91 miles per hour.
Mate, and he came out and bowled, after scoring that 77, and he went for 40 from 3 overs pretty much.
Yeah, but he bowled at 95. He bowled at 91 miles an hour. I don't care if he goes at 6 and 7 and over. I want him to bowl fast. And I want him to be aggressive. I want him to
but Jofra,
the batter up because that's his job.
No, because Bryden Carse is your type of bowler. He is you were better, right? End of story. But you're similar. There's your like for like. You're not a Gus. You weren't a Gus Atkinson. You weren't a Jofra Archer. You were a Bryden Carse. So you needed to go at night at 100% every single delivery, right? Jofra does not need to do that. He doesn't. We've seen that we've seen him bowl. Remember 2020? No, when did he? 2019. He was mixing and matching his speeds all the time. But look, if Stokes is asking him to bowl at 94 miles an hour and he's not bowling at 94 miles an hour, even though he can bowl at 94 miles an hour, of course that is a problem. Of course that's a problem. Chris Stokes from the Indie, in 2 separate TV interviews, Brendan McCullum has said that England over-prepared and overtrained. Come on.
Does he realise we're watching?
Come on, Brendan.
Brendan realise we're watching.
Over-prepared and overtrained. I mean, how can you say that? I'm not saying they underprepared, right? I'm not saying that. I never played the game. I don't know what you need physically and mentally to get up to a position where you are ready to take on Australia in the Ashes in Australia. I have no idea. I can pretend to. I've never been there, right? But I can tell you this. This England team were not over-prepared and overtrained. I don't even know what that means. What is that?
No, I mean, I'm struggling with that one as well. The over-prepared bit, you could be overthinking things. That's mentally. You could be over-analysing things and what you're trying to do. That's mentally. But the one thing that's not mentally is the physicality side of bowling, and you have to have overs under your belt. I don't think, I mean, I don't want to get onto a long rant. This can be for...
Well, you're good at... I tell you what, Harmy, hold it there. We do need just to have a little pause. Get yourself ready. Take on some, some salts or whatever you fast bowlers do when you're about to bowl the 8th or 9th over. You are watching us on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel or listening on talkSPORT 2. Myself, Jon Norman, Steve Harmison, a double Ashes winner. This is following on Ashes Inquest. This is following on Ashes Inquest. I'm Jon Norman. He's Steve Harmison. We've had the Violin Geek 15 messages. England lost without Josh Hazlewood and Pat Cummins in the Aussie team. The job security for Key and Baz is unbelievable. I want that job. You need to respect the game, and that starts with proper prep, as Harmy says. Harmy says a lot of it makes sense. In fact, most of it makes sense. It's quite difficult to argue against on or off air. And we do talk about cricket nearly as much. Well, actually, we talk about cricket more off air than we do on air.
But it's good to disagree.
Well, it is good to disagree. And that's one of the things about cricket. You can disagree. Weak men. You can't have weak men in the dressing room. That is, Stokes has spoken to Aggers. I know you're not supposed to mention other broadcasters. I don't care. I thought that Aggers and Michael Vaughan and Glenn McGrath listened to something they did. They sounded really depressed. Yeah. But they made a great point. One of the points Aggers made was there's no accountability because there's no other backup keeper and there's no other opening batter and there's nobody else. So just go out there, boys, do whatever you want, and then we'll change it at the end of the series. But listening to what Stokes has to say about weak individuals or weak men, this England team don't chop and change mid-series. I mean, the bowlers get rotated and rested, we know. But you got a feeling that they're going to make some changes here, Harmy. The problem is, What choices do they have, and who's going to go, and what are they going to do?
I mean, they can't. They've got no choices. We said that this is going to be the top 7 till the end. You've mentioned there, Smith in, Pope in the gloves, Smith out the team, Bethel possibly. He got 71. And I mean, if we're talking about making changes, let's be fair. And as much as I think Jacob Bethel's got a huge amount of talent, I mean, we're bringing somebody in who's got 1 adult 100 into an Ashes cauldron and when we're 2-0 down. Yeah, it'd be so unfair on him, or probably the only one in the Lions trip that scored any proper runs up until, this week. You look at Emilio Gay. I don't think he's anywhere near ready. You've got the next one, Thomas and James Rue. One's 9, one's 20, and the other one's 17. They're the only ones that's making runs, really.
Mate, they'll all be in. They'll all be in for Sydney. You know how it works.
Yeah, they'll be close to it. I mean, Scott Borthwick moment, Mason Crane moment. There's somebody coming.
Boyd Rankin.
I thought Boyd Rankin. I thought it was a bowler. I think it might be Matt Fisher or something like that. But I mean, you go with what you've got. The one thing that Brendan McCullum has done, he's going to die by his sword. You've lived by it, you die by it. He's been very protective of maybe 16 or 17 players. Whatever reason, right? Whether he doesn't want to bring anybody in from the outside, he doesn't really. I mean, Cameron Ponsonby's, I've got to mention that. Cameron Ponsonby's tweet yesterday was, I mean, that's priceless. I would love to have said that, but I have to credit him to it. When he said, England have got so much disregard for county cricket, and a bloke who's got 5 for now has been bowling 15 overs with a keeper standing up. I mean, we've got no regard for county cricket. So we're not bringing anybody in from that are battle hardened, that have been through the mill, who have got an education and a background in the grind of county cricket, which possibly skill-wise is not up to playing Test cricket. But they won't get the wicket away as easy as Zach Crawley did in first Test match. Ollie Pope did in this Test match. That's the thing with McCullum. He has basically said, right, you 16 lads, until he took the one-day job, you're the only ones I want to work with. And I'm not bothered about the rest. I don't care. These are good lads. It's a good time. Let's go and have these buzzwords of enjoying tours and the best time of your life, and fulfill your dreams, and you could be doing a lot of worse things. All these things that is nice for McCullum to say, but you've actually got to give them a little bit in the middle, which is their grounding of an education of how you play Test match cricket.
Harmy,
we look miles and miles away, and I think what's coming on to roost from Ben's point of view, just to finish off, is that he wanted to say, did he want to say we're soft? Did he want to say we're soft? We've got a soft underbelly. I think there's a lot of us been saying it, and not just the guys on TNT or the guys on TMS. I mean, NASA and others have been brilliant listening to them. I agree. But the one consistent thing we've been saying, John, we've all been saying the same things. So somebody's got it right and somebody's got it wrong. And unfortunately for me, the ones that I think who have got it wrong are the ones that are insular in this bubble of ECB, pathway, coaches only letting bowlers bowl 12 overs, no warm-up games because we don't want to let anybody see what we're doing. Nobody letting you see what they're doing is getting beat 2-0. And that potentially is probably, and I don't think he will be bothered. I'll take that back. I really didn't mean that. But Brendan McCullum, he goes off and goes into an IPL job. He is bothered, mate. He is.
Look, you could just look at his picture of him. Look, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've seen him with his feet up, almost looking like he's snoozing, come what may, right? And that's been his approach to cricket. And you only have to listen to Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson about what he brought to that dressing room. I mean, he convinced those guys. And if you can convince those guys, then pretty much you can convince anyone, right? To a point.
But hang
on. But Brendan McCullum has his own personal demons when it comes to Australia as well. This all works to a point. But at the end of the day, the camera picked up on him on day 2, and he did not look like the chilled out, relaxed Brendan McCullum that we've got used to over the last 4 years. He looked stressed. He looked pained, and he had fear in his eyes. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. But at the end of the day, it reminds me of the MCG, 2015. And Brendan McCullum and the New Zealand cricket team under his stewardship had lit the tournament up with their approach to ODI cricket. And he gets his team to the final of the World Cup, the 2015 World Cup final against you-know-who, Australia, at the MCG. And he walks out, and as he's opening the batting with Martin Guptill, he walks to the crease, and Brad Haddin, I think, was keeper for Australia, runs past. And Brad, who, by the way, I've really enjoyed a lot of Brad's commentary. Good. Really good. He's an astute reader of the game and communicates well. And actually, he's a completely different person to the person I thought he was watching him play. Yeah. And he runs past Baz and he goes, "You going to go for it today, Baz?" And Baz looks at him and goes, "You bet I am." Bowled second ball. Yeah. Mitchell Starc pitching it up.
Argent.
And exactly. Took his eyes off the ball. Literally took his eyes off the ball. He spoke about it afterwards. Out for a duck. New Zealand never recovered. He knows what this is like to lose in Australia. It is the worst nightmare for any English, Indian or New Zealand cricketer. And he was watching the horror unfold in this test match. He was watching it.
Yeah, so, but comes back to the processes that all buzzwords that the coaches do. You know, you've got to get your sort of ducks in a row, and England haven't getting their ducks in a row, and that may be anything to do with Baz, because he's a mentor. He's not a coach. And we're not wanting technical coaches. You mentioned Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad. They were world class performers before Baz got anywhere near the team.
It's a great point.
They didn't need coaching. Stokes doesn't need coaching. Yeah. Root doesn't need coaching.
But some of them do, Harmy, don't they? And this is the problem. This one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. We hear the stories from the players that come out of that dressing room because they're deemed not to be part of the team for performance, you know, at times, but also sometimes because of personality. And we hear that. Look, we're both football and cricket guys. We both have a team. They both play in black and white. And our teams that play in black and white share players, past and present, and managers. And one of the managers that we both had was Kevin Keegan. Yeah. And when Brendan McCullum took over, the change in the team reminded me of the kind of change that used to happen when Kevin Keegan would take over a club. He was a confidence manager. He was about, not only was he an attacking player when he played, he was an attacking coach, right? Mm-hmm. And he would breathe life into the dressing room. He would give confidence where there was none. He would pick players up. Suddenly players were playing with their shoulders back. It was all about attack. And he didn't win anything. No. And at the end of the day, whilst we all of a certain era love to look back at the Kevin Keegan, Alex Ferguson era, and we loved it. We loved it. There is a period where you need more than that. Yeah. You need to have tactical acumen. And in this Ashes, it seems to me that England have not had that tactical acumen, and they have been found out. Now, listening to Stokes, it's not about tactical acumen. It's about bottle. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe he's right, but that just seems a bit simplistic. I think it's easier to say that. What's more difficult is knowing when to press go and when to hold back, when to play the conditions, when to play the game, when to play. You know, all summer we were hearing about England are playing BAZBALL Mark, 2.0, smart BAZBALL. I haven't seen that in this series. And I don't know. I mean, some players have looked like they've really struggled. I talked about Jamie Smith. I think he is quality. I never really saw him as a wicketkeeper batter. I thought he was a better batter than a wicketkeeper. I think, do you know what? Play him at 3 and give Pope the gloves. I think England should go to these players and say, you got us into this mess. You get us out. They're going to Adelaide now, right? No outrageous bounce. No pink ball. Proper cricket ground, right? You got us into this mess. You get us out.
Yeah, and I mean that was the mentality that I said before this Test match. I think you might need to change it, because of if Ben's saying what he's saying, he's seen things.
Yeah.
He's seen things that we haven't.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's seen things we haven't. He's looked around that dressing room and he's picked up on a few things that he doesn't like.
Yeah.
Now, if he doesn't like it, he normally acts. I mean, Ollie Robinson's never played again off the back of, something that Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum didn't like. Ben's going hard at people's character like he has done. He's not called him soft, but he's come close to it. Then he might have to change. The problem he has is all the personnel changes he's got are in the bowling department and not in the batting department. And unfortunately, it's the batting department that is the issue. So we probably will see Jacob Bethel at Adelaide. Adelaide, you're right, will not bounce as much as what it will. But it might move sideways, drop in pitch, put a green grass on it. It might move sideways. So somewhere like Potts could come into the equation. But at the end of the day, I think Ben's got to have a conversation with McCullum and Key and go, which ones do we think is really up for the fight in the cause? Because we've been here before. 2023, we were 2-0 down. There were circumstances going into that third test match, which I think galvanised the England cricket team going forward. I'm not so sure Gus Atkinson getting 2 wickets and Jofra Archibald at 150 kilometres an hour for 10 overs is galvanising going into Adelaide. And I'm talking about the best of broad stuff at Lord's. England are going to have to find a way of somehow picking themselves up. They're going off golfing. Alistair Cook's just said a 4-day golf trip planned and booked. Whether that changes, I'm not sure. Personally, I would send them on it to get away from the game, because at the end of the day, this game's killing them.
It's 10 days, mate. They've got to be in Australia somewhere.
Yeah, but what I will say is, look into what you want. Jason Gillespie tweeted something yesterday, and Dizzy's not somebody. It's not. I mean, if it's coming from Darren Lehman, if it's coming from Brad Haddon, I'm going, somebody's trying to play, trying to be naughty and trying to be funny and trying to be clever and trying to stick one over. When Dizzy's a coach and he's a serious character and he's a great man, and Jason Gillespie's talking about England not preparing at the Wacker. How many times they've prepared under lights? I know for a fact that there was a lot of issues with, getting, I think, grounds sorted for England to prepare for the first and the second test match. And I think Dizzy he picked up on that. And if he's seeing it, it's a serious point. It's not a jovial point. It's a serious point, because he's a coach and he's a coaching man. And that, if some of that's true and there is something in that, I think England have got a lot more problems than just nicking off driving from 5 metre mark. Because if there is issues with how they've prepared and they haven't been able to get it because they haven't booked it in time or whatever, then wow, that's a problem.
We should, as we did yesterday, look, you play for England, I am English, and we wanted England to win. We wanted a competition. And this doesn't feel like 2023, where I remember leaving Lord's feeling strangely upbeat, despite the fact that England were 2-0 down, because they should have won in Birmingham and they probably should have saved. I'm not sure. They're not winning. They gave away too many runs in first innings, and they were still against it. They may well have lost 1-1 in the last 3, and they probably end up winning it. Although remember that ball change at the Oval.
Yeah.
Look, we need to talk about Australia, because once again they kind of won a test match with just a couple of players. Mitchell Starc with bat and ball. Actually, that's not really fair. It was a real team. Yeah, I'm going to take that back. It was a real team effort with the bat. Yeah. Mitchell Starc was wonderful again with the ball and the bat. And Michael Neser today, going back to Cameron Ponsonby's tweet about keepers standing up behind the stumps and a bowler essentially bowling off 5 yards and taking a fifer. A lot was said about the fact that England haven't played any pink ball test match cricket, and it looked like it. But credit where credit's due. I thought Michael Neser was great today, almost unplayable, actually, unhittable. Steve Smith and Australia caught everything, and Mitchell Starc was wonderful. So credit where credit's due. The best team absolutely won that test match, as they did the first in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. The frustrating thing from our point of view, and probably Ben's point of view, is I don't think Australia have had to work as hard as they probably should have done to get 2-0 up. Saying that, what they've done is they've constantly put England under pressure and kept England under pressure by their body language, by their bowling and partnerships, and big moments. This is the thing for me. When it comes down to your mental frailties or your lack of preparation or fitness levels not being right, you make mistakes. These guys didn't make mistakes. I mean, Carey was unbelievable.
Carey was amazing.
Yeah.
Remember how far he's come from Lords. Remember when Stuart Broad said you'll only ever be remembered for the best stumping? Yeah. Well, he's being remembered for one of the best wicket-keeping displays I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Brilliant today.
Catch to Stokes today it looks simple, but it's not. No. It was fantastic. Smith's catch. I mean, I've got it here. You look at Inglis has run out, Stokes and Root going well. Big moment. Yeah. Smith's catch today, not a big moment, but an unbelievable catch in a way which when you've dropped 5 catches and somebody catches one like that, and then Carey, his body language stand up the stumps. He's constant being there and putting England under pressure with a bowler bowling top of off stump, not quite Darren Stevens style, but top of off stump, and making sure that you are challenged inside edge, outside edge. And if there's problems with your technique, I'll nail you. I'll sort you out. You just have to make one little mistake. And Ben batted 150 balls and just didn't quite get. So he got caught on the crease, nicked one, and it was a fantastic catch. Big moments. Good teams, teams that are well drilled, well oiled, they win the big moments. And Australia did that. I mean, you're right. I think everybody contributed with a bat. But Mitchell Starc again, and this is the horrible thing for me. When Marcus Trescothick said last night, when you're preparing 3 Shield games, and like we did 20, 30 years ago. I'm not being disrespectful towards Australia here. They're 2-0 up, and they're 2-0 up for a reason. But it's not Warne, it's not McGrath, it's not Ponting, it's not Gilchrist, it's not Hayden and Langer. I mean, this is Steve Smith, Travis Head, Mitchell Starc, Alex Carey behind the stumps. That's what's beat England. That's what's beat England so far. And more importantly, England have beat themselves.
Yep. Normally in Test match cricket, you need 6 or 7 players on the opposition side to beat you. It's not like 50 over cricket or T20 when really one player, 1 or 2 players can do enough, can make enough difference in a game to win a match. But that's been the case throughout. Look, we're going to have to wrap things up here. Harmy, you are going to be making your way down to London on Monday, you and Bumble. No, not Bumble. Bumble's heading off to Australia. You and Jared, Goffey's in town, Butch is coming in. We're going to have it all covered on talkSPORT throughout Monday, from breakfast through White and Jordan and H&J. There's going to be Harmy and Kimber being pushed out on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. Darren Goff's How to Win the Ashes from 2-0 down. That should be the next episode. Not this ever happened. Yeah, so good luck with that one. But look, thanks for your time, Harmy. It's brilliant as ever. And thank you for your interaction on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel feed. It's been fantastic. We will be back with more following on Ashes after the Adelaide, every day of the Adelaide test from 8 a.m, I think, in the morning. I can't quite remember. But for now, thanks for joining us on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel and talkSPORT 2.